All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we're going to talk about Tom Brady and some restrictions that he might have if he becomes a part time owner as the Raiders while being a broadcaster with Fox. And also, Chill in the chat is saying, who are your predicted division winners? So, yesterday I did the NFC East. Today we're going to be doing the NFC North. And I had the Eagles winning the NFC East. So I'm going to be predicting the divisions and then, who's going to make the playoffs, who's going to, go to the Super Bowl, who's going to win the Super Bowl. Um, that's all going to be, well, I'm continuing it today, but it's going to continue into next week. So, but like I said, yesterday I picked the Eagles. And today, you'll find out who I picked for the NFC North, which is in the next segment. So make sure to stick around for that. So Tom Brady, right now, he's doing a bunch of different things. He's going to be making his broadcasting debut next week when the Cowboys and the Browns face off in Cleveland. And Tom Brady's pending bid to become a part-time owner of the Las Vegas Raiders has led to restrictions on his role as a Fox Sports broadcaster. So these are the restrictions. Brady is not allowed to attend in-person or online broadcast production meetings. He is prohibited from accessing team facilities, players, or coaches. These restrictions apply specifically to Brady and not to other Fox Sports staff. Brady must also follow NFL rules that prohibit public criticism of officials and other teams, although he is still allowed to broadcast Raiders games. Now, he signed a 10-year deal with Fox in 2022, and he's going to be working alongside Kevin Burkhardt. But it's a lot of restrictions. Brady's bid for Raiders ownership has not yet been voted on by NFL owners due to these concerns. But yeah, that's like everything. That's all the work that goes into, putting together a broadcast. Because, you meet with the team, you meet with the players, you pick their brains, you see where everybody's at, you do the work, you do the research on the players, and, you have your, like, I saw a video of Ian Eagle, of his, his, like, stat sheet, and has all, like, the, players' information and things like that you could bring up during the broadcast. Like, there is a lot that goes into doing a live broadcast. It's a lot. And Tom Brady getting restricted, I mean, he's not going to be able to do his job, to put it simple. So it does make you wonder, like, will Brady back out and just stick to just broadcasting? That remains to be seen. Listen, I think he's got a sweet gig at Fox. I think you do the broadcasting, give it time, see, how it goes. And maybe at some point he doesn't like it. And he backs, well, he got a 10-year contract, so I don't know if he's going to back out of that. But maybe you think this isn't for you, and you decide, well, I want to be an owner. So then, I mean, maybe the opportunity isn't there for the Raiders, but maybe it's there for another NFL team, possibly. I don't know. That's just one thing I thought of off the top of my head, but yeah, Like, how are you going to be able to do a game? How are you going to be able to, like, get more insights on, certain players? Like, obviously, the stars, but there's going to be guys that you might not be too familiar with that, maybe they have a big game, they make a crucial play in a game, and you got to talk about it. You might not, and you don't really know that much about a certain player because you didn't have access to the team that you're covering. I don't know. It's weird. And you would think, like, there wouldn't be this much restrictions, but that's the world that we live in. And that's these rules that have been put in place for this. And this is a unique situation because, I where else are you going to see a part-time owner being a broadcaster for, a team in the NFL? That doesn't happen. But that's what makes this a unique situation. Um, Tom Brady's trying to make the most out of his post-playing career, but now you got things conflicting with each other. So it's like you're gonna have to pick one. Like it's like when you're younger and your parents are like, "Hey, which sport do you want to play more?" You're in soccer, you're in baseball, you're in basketball. Like you got to pick one. Now for me, I didn't want to pick any. I was like, let me just stay home and do my homework, and I can play with my friends after school. Because Little League got very competitive, but it's kind of like that though. It's like just pick one and stick with that, and probably lean more towards the broadcasting. Because now I think even if Tom Brady does become an owner and he gets put under these restrictions, I think he would still be able to make it work just because he's Tom Brady. But, Tom Brady is always looking to be the best. And with these restrictions, that is prohibiting you from being the best at what you're doing now. So, I think the best decision for him is say, you know what? We'll come back to this at a later time. Because I think he does have. I think isn't he's a part-time owner. I think for a soccer team, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he wants to, be a. I mean, he loves the NFL, so he wants to, own part of a franchise. But this could be something that you come back to at maybe a later time and just focus on the broadcasting. That's my suggestion. Again, this is just a regular guy in his bedroom doing a podcast saying it. So this doesn't hold that much weight. Really, no weight. But that makes the most sense. Because, again, you're not going to be able to do your job if this gets passed through. But that's my opinion on it. I mean, whatever happens, happens. But it's definitely interesting. Because, I mean, I never knew of any of this. Because nothing like this has happened before. A broadcaster trying to, who, is the greatest quarterback of all time, now a broadcaster trying to own a team, and now there are going to be restrictions on what you can and cannot do because you're an owner and you're a broadcaster. Like, again, looking at the restrictions, Brady must also follow NFL rules that prohibit public criticism of officials and other teams, although he's still allowed to broadcast Raiders games. So, like if someone makes a bad play, or if there's, I mean, again, he could probably spin it to where it doesn't sound like he's criticizing an official or a team. I think he's got. I mean, what you know, what is criticizing and what isn't? Because like, what if he just saying like, oh, like, a player missed a block or something? Like, if it's something like that, like, oh, he's criticizing the player for missing a block. Like that, you can't do that. I don't know. It's got to be more aggressive than that. Like, I don't think he can come on the air. I mean, again, unless you're hosting like a radio show, can't be doing color and being like, oh man, this player stinks. Now he's not gonna do like he wasn't gonna do that. Restrictions, no restrictions, but that's just at least one thing that would get him in trouble. But and like if you're criticizing a quarterback, like if a quarterback makes a bad decision, like throws a pick, oh, you had the check down open, you had this guy open, like 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 what would that fall under? Him criticizing the team, or him being an analyst and just saying this is what happened, this is what he should have did? I don't know. It's a unique situation. We'll see what ends up happening if he does, indeed get, you know, the bid and he becomes an owner. Because that is an interesting situation. But I think most people would say probably back out of it and just focus on being a broadcaster. And the other thing too is Brady aware of that? Like, was he aware of that? That's what I want to know. Like, were you aware of these restrictions that you would have as a broadcaster if you end up becoming an owner or a part-time owner? And if he didn't, like, would he have changed what he did? Would he not become a broadcaster? Would he not have tried? Is he not? Would he not have tried to become a part-time owner? Like, what would he have done? Again, just something to throw out there. I don't know the answer to that, but let me know what you guys think. Though it's a unique situation, and we'll see how that plays out. So we are gonna take our final break of the show now. When we come back, I'll talk about. I'll touch upon college football. I'll talk about, because I did watch the Colorado game last night, so I wanted to talk about that. I also wanted to get into just take a look at the big matchups for this weekend, and then we'll also get into my NFC North predictions. So a double segment, if you will, to end off the show here. So for one final time today, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.